Welcome everyone to Amplify Your Ambition, episode number 5. Super cool. We are halfway to 10, which I can actually say. I really appreciate the support on the podcast so far. It's been super great. You've been really enjoying it and taking in a lot of the podcast content, the short form content that I've been doing. It's been doing really well on Twitter or X. Really super happy to see that people are engaging with the podcast, and keeps me going. But yeah, today's episode is about challenges. It's about mindset. I'm just going to turn my display down a little bit because it is a little bit bright for my liking. It's just glowing my face up. There we go. So this episode is challenges, mindset, and strategies for entrepreneurial success. So we're going to talk about the emotional and the practical kind of roller coaster that is entrepreneurship. Like, you know, it's going to be a roller coaster. You'll have days where you have your highs, and you'll have days where you have your lows, and you won't feel so great. But we're here to talk about it. We're here to throw it out there. So people, if you are listening and you are going through a kind of roller coaster journey with setting up a business, or you're a creator doing Twitch streaming or all sorts of crazy stuff, don't worry. This podcast is great, and we will talk about everything that we can talk about in this podcast. I will start by acknowledging that there are challenges and setbacks faced by entrepreneurs, and so you'll probably get a lot of rejections. You'll probably get a lot of no's. I know I did, and as a musician, I get a lot of no's from labels, but like, oh, the music's not for us. A lot of rejections. But for me, no, I always say no is redirection. So wrong place. I always say that I didn't get a specific job, or I didn't get a label signing my song. It's just redirection, just kind of going, no, wrong place, wrong time, move you on to a better thing, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's my mindset, how I picked that up. So yeah, a lot of it is a lot of no's. A lot of it is a lot of, you can't do it because you can't scale something that you don't have yet. It's a lot of different, you know, push and pull factors, but there are a lot of rewards to it. So having, you know, being a creator, you know, when you start seeing that success and those rewards from you setting this all up and doing the work, it's a lot of cool stuff. And it is really rewarding to know that you're seeing that your hard work is really paying off. As essentially that's what it is. You want the payoff of doing all that hard work, you know, working the weekends on the side hustle instead of going out partying, or going to the dance recital, or whatever. You know, you have to make sacrifices, and if you're not willing to make a sacrifice for the kind of reward, then, you know, you have to remember, like what we said in the other podcast, is remember your why. Like, why are you doing this in the first place? So that is what I will always say. Remember your why, because you didn't set it up on a blue, you know, on a random Tuesday, blue moon and a random Tuesday. You know you're wanting to do this. So yeah, I'm going to share a little bit of my experience with overcoming challenges, kind of on my journey, because there's a lot of stories I could tell. A lot of stories. But one of the stories was kind of when I first set up JackOKings as an art, like kind of, you know, as an artist. So I had 2 aliases. I had Navy X, and I also had Chaotic, 2 of which I would say, in my personal opinion, failed. And I will say that, you know, I thought that alias would be the one. Now that one failed. Then the second one, that failed. But for me, JackOKings, when I set it up, when I first initially started it off, I got turned away by a lot of labels because my music even though I was passionate about the music and the music was great, a lot of it was rejection, or people didn't want to collaborate with me because the music wasn't their style. But for me personally, it's like how I overcame it was I worked on myself. I worked on kind of making JackOKings more marketable, making it more well known, and kind of building it out more, and also maturing that sound to go more like down the melodic club, but still keeping that chill element that I did. But that's what I would really say. That's how I overcome my challenge. But we're on to the main bread and butter of this episode. Um, so the entrepreneurial roller coaster. That's what we're going to call it, and that's how it will be called for the rest of this episode. So there are challenges and setbacks wherever you go. You cannot get rid of them. You can't get rid of challenges, and you can't get rid of setbacks along the way, because it can be you don't have the resources to do it, you don't have the money, you don't have. But to be honest, on your journey, you don't need a lot of money to get started to do stuff. You can do it for free. I always say that I always give up my time, because time is my time. It is good. So there always be those setbacks, and it's how you overcome those setbacks is what makes you more of a strong and resilient person. Like, I think I heard a good quote on Instagram, and it was you can't. It's about the sales one. So you can't change the way the sales blow, but it's about how you react. So I probably butchered the quote, but it's such a good quote. And yeah, for me is like a lot of setbacks for me is like I overcome them, bounce back. So it's like, or I treat my setbacks as redirection to a better opportunity, because I always really like think about like, this guy said no. Okay, how do we then go on and do something different? But I think saying no is, I go through, like, personally me, I go through the season of no, and a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people don't like me doing it. But to those people that don't like me doing it, I don't care. But I think some of the challenge I go through is I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, just come back and do this before." I was like, "Not really, mate. I don't want to do that." So I go through the season of no. So I say a lot of no's to 90% of everything. So it's like, do you want to come out on Friday night? Not really. I'm going to work on music, podcast, the whole like JackOKings side hustle, and a lot of people don't like that. I know for family things, like I still go. I still go and do the family stuff because that's important. But for anyone else, like like friends, I'm always saying no. So embracing challenges rather than, I say, running, or I like to put it as running towards danger. So always running towards it rather than running away, because if you can overcome one challenge, it's kind of a snowball effect. You can then go on and build, like, keep going. So it's like, oh, I overcome this challenge, cool. I've overcome this one, cool. Like, almost like hurdles. And I really love it, personally. I'm just catching my breath. Catching my breath. But I say that embracing challenges are very good learning opportunities and growth experiences. I think I wrote down a really good point. I'm gonna just pull it up on my phone. So I basically said, this is a good pep talk. I think I saw it on kind of what is it, Threads. Sorry, on Threads. My brain's having a brain fart today. But I wrote my notes down, was like saying that where you are current. So I basically said you are where you are currently because there's a few lessons you need to go through before you go on the next phase of your journey. This is a good one. Basically, I put that a key takeaway from this post, and what I'm saying is that as long as you're moving, you aren't stuck, and as long as you're working, you aren't stagnant. Start by being okay by taking baby steps before running. which I think is cool. So seeing setbacks and reframing it as being more positive is actually one of the things that I love to do. It's like, well, someone said no, well, I'm just gonna, well, he said no, but that doesn't mean a no forever. It just means a no today. Whether it's going for a promotion, whether it's setting up a business, no doesn't always mean that's going to be that forever. No, that's it. And it's just no today. No today. So about reframing those as learning opportunities and growth experiences, because I like to say a lot, like if you have a lot more stories to tell if you've grown and had all these setbacks and stuff, and they make hella good stories, like being like, well, I got rejected by this label, I then went on and made super cool music from then on, like, and then now I have labels messaging me for demos, basically, like that kind of stuff. So crazy story. So out of it, all those crazy stories that you get to tell at parties and stuff is super cool. So I think resilience has always been a big mantra for me. It's always been a thing that's part of me. It's also one of the other thing I'll probably say is grit, being able to actually push through tough stuff, tough shit, basically. But it's like when you are thrown this danger at you, it's about learning how to deal with that and manage it. So, because I'll personally say this, that no is catastrophe. I bet it's like it's catastrophized to death. I was trying to say the word and my brain just went nope. So basically, no is catastrophized to death. So some people, if I think a great one is 100 Days of Rejection. Super cool, super cool. And like I'll personally do it myself, but it changes in the sense that like over the 100 days, things do some, like you like ask for a free coffee at Starbucks, and then some people, like if they say no, their cheeks flush, then they go, well, they didn't give me the free coffee and I'm gonna die. And it's like, well, for me, someone saying no to me, I know too well, working in IT and music, that I'm used to people saying no. Or I'm used to saying no. So it's about like having that resilience to be able to be like, they said no, but could I also find like a different way of doing the thing that I want to do? And that's what I will always say to them. But that's what I'm doing. But 100 Days of Rejection, super cool book. I think it's a book. I think I might just get it just to see what happens. And mental fortitude is also a big one of my kind of, I'll say like four pillars. And mental fortitude's always been one. It's about building defenses, or kind of things that help you deal with that and cope with those challenges, because when people start throwing stones at you, kind of you don't want them to kind of judge. I say don't judge people when they're doing like a side hustle or doing something that they really want to do and it means a lot to them. But having the mental fortitude to be able to navigate the ups and downs of it, because you'll have days where you feel amazing. You go, well, we've just got 10 clients and I've got a steady income of like $10,000 or something. And then there'll be days where you're like, well, the payment system went down, or chat went down, or someone cancelled the subscription because they weren't getting value out of it. Honestly, just having the fortitude to be able to go today, or as the one I always like to say, if you're going to have a good day for no reason, or no, if you're going to have a bad day for no reason, you can have a good day for no reason. So, but what I mean by that is a very, very good one. Is you can go in, do amazing things, and still have a bad day. And then it's also like you can do things that you don't want to do and absolutely suck, and still have a good day. So it's a really, really good one. And I tell myself that every morning, even if I'm having a bad day. It's like, you can still go in there and do some amazing things. It's positive affirmations and reinforcement. That's what I'm big on. So, how do we get into the mindset of success? Well, good thing I'm here to talk you through it. Because I'm one of those people that a lot of my mindset and a lot of my motivation and all this is, a lot of it's like self guided kind of. I learned a lot of it by breaking shit and finding out. So growth mindset. So having the mindset of growing is, or that basically just being like, I always treat growth or you doing something and growing like a tree. So if you are not, so if you're just staying where you are and the environment doesn't change, you aren't growing or doing anything. You're just plateau. Well, not plateau, you're just balanced. You're like, okay, you're not doing anything. So for the tree to grow, you need to kind of offer it or give it water. And the more water you give it, it can then grow and grow and grow. So for me, for entrepreneurs and like people like myself, is every day. The motto I always go by is every day's a school day. So you don't know everything. So you have to grow in order to be able to keep up with the speed in which you consume knowledge and things like that. So, but I think being in that growth mindset is, you go, okay, well, good example I have is, what I always do is I release a song, I go, cool, this song's great, and then I go, well, how do I make a better song than that? And I get into some form of competitive with myself. It's funny because it's like, how do I beat that song that I just made and make a better one? So super cool. I think believing in your ability to learn is very, very great for growth. If you believe, you have to believe first. You have to believe in yourself. Believe, like, I can do this. I know it might be tough, but I can do this and push through. It fosters perseverance because you will keep trying. So for me, podcasting is a completely new skill that I've had to pick up. And for me, I've never made a podcast. Well, I'm kind of joking there, but I haven't made like a proper podcast that I was really into. And so in order to be like, let's put it into podcast perspective. So in order to be the best podcaster at the top 1%, you really only need to make 21 podcasts. Like, period. Like 21 podcasts. But some people don't even get over the hurdle of making one. And that I went through that. I got through the one, and then it's kind of going, okay, we're at episode 5 now. So, and persevering with that is like, well, if if you're doing something so many times, so let's say I'm doing this podcast 100 times, I am going to notice that I'm a lot better from when I first started. So it's, building up. So snowball effect, like what we always say. But it's about, like, you'll notice that you're persevering, going, well, that didn't work out, but then I overcame it because I kept practicing and practicing. So it's also in the same way that, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So exactly my point. But it's about being really, really, keep learning, don't stop. And if someone says, and that's one of the things I sometimes get, is when people go, oh, I know everything and I don't need to learn. It's like, well, that's true. Maybe you do know everything, but no one knows everything because the human memory is a very finite resource. You can't know everything. It's a no-brainer. So I think, as always in all these episodes, I try and give you some action to take away. So it's not just me talking for an hour. So I think, suggesting, I'm going to suggest a ton of books, like reading books or articles that develop or talk upon growth mindset. I know I listen to a lot of Alex Hormozy, that kind of stuff. David Goggins, those kind of people. Um, those people that, get into that kind of philosophical mindset kind of stuff, and it is great. It's great, and I would recommend books, articles, or podcasts if you're like me and you like sometimes you need a little bit of audio stimulus to keep you going. I'm catching my breath. I'm talking so fast, but it's about like doing something with that information. If your aim is to listen to my podcast or other podcasts or the ones that you love, and you don't do anything with that, you're not learning, you're not going to change. So taking something away from this podcast and doing something with this information and doing something going, oh, I'm going to actually read some books on growth mindset. Cool. Then going off and read those books, and then, you can get better and better and better. On to the next point on the agenda is maintaining a positive attitude. So you'll notice me, I'm very positive 90% of the time. So positive thinking is a very, very good trait to have. I try and see the positives in everything. So someone's having a bad day. I went, well, sometimes it might. Sometimes I said, well, when they go, well, let's take one of my friends broke up with her girlfriend, or like she broke up with her girlfriend, and she was like, well, I'm really upset that I broke up with her. And then I went and I said, well, it couldn't get any worse because, and she was like, okay. And I was like, well, look, you still have the house, right? Yeah. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, you still got a job? Yeah. You can still put food on the table. And she's like, yeah. I was like, this is just a setback. Like what we talked before, it's like a setback. You've broken up. It's gonna knock you back a bit, but you're gonna bounce back and overcome it. So for me, being positive, even in the worst case scenarios, is just about like once you have some positive thinking and going, well, today I'm gonna have a good day, and then for me, is like I wake up, make my bed. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go and do productive things. It just keeps going and going. And for motivation, it keeps you motivated because then you go, hey, I did some positive things today. That made me want to go off and record my podcast, or wanted me to go and sit down with a friend and talk to them. I think as well with decision making, being positive is like you weigh up the pros and cons. Like there may be like 100 cons, but the positives is it's gonna help you, accelerate your growth. Growth again. a lot of these questions like kind of link in with each other, which is cool. But being positive is one of the things that if you can see the bright, basically it's like I always say that if you're having a bad day, it's like looking through a tunnel. So bad day is this dark tunnel that you can't see to the end. And positive affirmations are the little light at the end of the tunnel that it's not the end of the world. I always like to say that as positive thinking is like, it's not the end of the world. You are still here. You are still crushing it. You're still being awesome. So strategies. Style. I have so many. You can either these are what work for me, but these aren't the golden, like the 10 commandments. Like you follow the 10 commandments of Jack's positivity. Maybe if you want to, you're more than welcome to. But I think gratitude exercises are cool. I think every night I journal, and journaling is great because you can get off what's on your chest, and you feel so much lighter. I mean lighter in the sense that it's not whatever's bothering you is not bothering you anymore. Because if I meant lighter physically, I would be having a 6-pack right now. But writing in a journal, I always say what I'm grateful for. So one of the things I'm grateful for is having friends and family that kind of, you know, appreciate me, love me, want to spend time with me, support me, like doing this podcast, doing music, doing all the amazing bits I'm doing with my life. Um, I think also having a team as well. I think I'm grateful for. Big shout out to Matt here, Matt and Ethan. I'm big, and the Valkence family. Big shout out to. I'm grateful that I'm friends and close with so many people in Valkence, and the love and support that they give to me to keep going, to push through tough stuff, and keep pushing to be number one. Be number one, be number one, be the top 1% is a really great exercise to do with journaling. Yeah, it's super good, super good. Affirmations, big one. I love affirmations in the morning. I do one in the morning. Don't do the super cheesy ones where it's like, you're amazing, you're gonna get all the girlfriends. I do the ones that like, you're smart, you're powerful, you know what to do. Today's gonna be a great day. Like, I think the Joe Rogan. I think I also listen to like Joe Rogan. The one that I listened today, I do that as a daily affirmation now, where it's like, is like, today, like, you're gonna have good days, you have great days, and that great things happen and bad things happen, but it's about getting up out of bed, strapping on your shoes, and going back out to war. I love that, and that's the one mindset I take with me. And that's something I suggest you guys like come up with as well. Just be like, well, what gets you out of that kind of tough pickle. Um, yeah. So another one. It links back to episode 4 on imposter syndrome. So this kind of ties into that episode. If you haven't seen episode 4 about imposter syndrome, go back and watch it. It's super awesome. It's super awesome, and I definitely recommend you should check it out and listen to that one about self-doubt. But self-doubt is, I'm gonna say it, a pain in the ass to deal with, and that's the most British way to say it. Pain in the ass to deal with, because self-doubt makes you second guess yourself, you can't make those poor you make poor decisions, or you can't make a decision because it's like, well, so and John says I'm not a good person, or I think John thinks I'm an idiot or something. It's that kind of self-doubt talk that it drives you mental, and it'll put you on a road to ruin if you don't kind of hone in and rein it in, really. So prevalence of self-doubt within entrepreneurs is a thing, creators too. We're always in the world of social media, we're always trying to be, we see all these people that we look up to, and then you go, well, I'm not like him, so I'll never be like him. Well, like, you don't have to be for the TLDR on this, you don't need to be them. You're your own person. Focus on you. So for me, everyone's like, oh, I want to be the next Martin Garrix, or da da da. It's like, no, like, I'm not being the next anyone. I just want to be me. There's only one of me. So, but I think self-doubt is like, you're always trying to be like, well, I want to be like this person. But I think if someone I talked to once, like at work or something, and they were like, well, I don't want to be like you, or I don't want to sound like, look like you or something, and then I was like, well, you'll never will. And it was funny because they were like, oh, and I was like, but self-doubt is pain in my ass, because I go through self-doubt every day. I think every creator, every entrepreneur does. The product, they'll be like, oh, the product, what happens if the product doesn't sell, or we don't make enough sales on it, or this Twitch, like this Twitch stream didn't get that many views, or my Instagram reel got only five views. But I'll tell you that now, like, anyone that's going, oh, I make content and I only get 5 views, but like, there is someone actually on the other end actually watching that, and actually finding value from it. So we're going to talk about kind of strategy again, about techniques to manage self-doubt. It's super, super, super important that you find ways that work for you and help you to cope with it. So, challenging negative thoughts. So, for me, I always reframe everything. So, when someone goes, "Hey, Jack, I love your work. I really appreciate you." I always reframe that as I am exceptional, or I am, I am appreciated. So if you're having the self-doubt going, oh, I don't think I'm appreciated by my team or anyone, and it's like, no, just reframe it. So let them say something, and then you go, like, for me, I always reframe it as I am exceptional, or I am appreciated here, or I am made to feel worthwhile. Challenge them like that. I'm catching my breath, having a bit of a drink. Yeah. So another one is celebrating successes. So, and I'm gonna say this now: if your Instagram is all of like 1 million people going, yeah, I'm celebrating, just I wish I had an animation for this, but like take it and throw it out the window. Take it and throw it out the window. So my idea is celebrating successes no matter what the size is. So what I mean by that is basically being like, well, oh, you've got a first client and you've been working at it for 6 months. That's a win. That's a little win. Or you've got your first client and it's $10 a month. Well, cool. That's a win in my mind. It's like for me when I first started making music, is like my first song getting over 100,000 streams, 100,000 streams. That was like me going, that's a win, because that's me breaking the mold essentially. So I always say that even the littlest of things, like you got out, I always say like even getting out, it doesn't have to be like brand related some of the time. If it's for the business and brand stuff, yes, celebrate those successes. They are important. They're helping you to, accelerate the growth. But for as on like a personal level, if you're just someone that isn't setting up a business or anything, and just is like, how do I manage or like celebrate my successes? Even just celebrating getting out of bed. And I do that every morning, celebrating getting out of bed, because I know that the sun's out. Well, we live in England, so it's not always sunny. But when the sun is out, I know that one of the affirmations I do is like, I get out of bed and I go, well, if the sun's out, I'm basically going out to make sure that I'm making people proud, making people that want to see me and value my time, make them proud. I'm basically just a ball of sunshine. maybe I need to make like a meme of like the Teletubby sunshine with my face in after all these podcasts. But yes, treat every win, no matter what size, as a win. And on the personal note is like, maybe someone smiled at you and told you to have a great day at the coffee shop. That's a win, because that makes you feel good. And it's like you got up out of bed, you had a coffee, or you went to the coffee shop, you had a walk, you talked to someone, all wins. Because if anyone's here and it's like going, oh, I don't like talking to people, it's scary, don't worry, I don't like talking to people personally in public because it's so scary for me. But as soon as I get over it, it's like I always treat that as a win, talking to someone, being like, hey dude, how are you doing? Like, honestly, don't worry about the size of the win, they all add up. So all the little ones make a big win, and all the big wins they just make a bigger win. So that's my personal opinion. So next point, overcoming challenges. You're in this podcast to hear my thoughts on how I deal with it. But like I said, take you can take what I do and apply it to your own, or you can come up with a way. It's all about, this isn't this is like a self-help book where it's like, oh, copy what Jack does and you'll be better. No. Mine work for me because I have a load of things going on, but it's like you find ways of coping and deal with it. So time management and prioritization. This is a fun topic to talk about. So time management for business, for busy entrepreneurs actually, is one of the greatest thing, because you want to make sure you're maximizing the most time during your day or week or year. So one of the things I do, a lot of CEOs do it, I do time blocking. So my calendar, like, I don't do it on my like weekend calendars or anything, because I have free time. I want to use my free time. I want to enjoy life. But for work, I have dedicated slots. So focus work time, when I'm free, when I'm going to lunch, maybe I'm traveling, that kind of stuff. Because if I time block, I know that, I'm one of those people that I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. So another thing as well is, I learned this myself personally. So there's two types of people that delegate or manage their time. So you've got the manager, kind of the manager, and they try and have a time slot. So they don't really like having those time slots that are free, because they think that's basically a waste of time for them, because it's like, oh, well, I haven't got anything to do. So for me, I'm a maker. So I like to work off meetings and do a lot of stuff off meetings, because that's the best way I do things. Making music, obviously, podcasting, all stuff, they don't involve meetings. But as for my real world job, I work better off meetings, or kind of just go, hey, like, I don't need to be here. Like, if you can go in a meeting at work and say, hey, I want to go and get some things done personally, but I don't think I add value here, or I don't think I'm needed here. You're saving the business time, essentially. So time blocking's cool. For me, prioritizing tasks, I use time blocking, so blocking up my calendar, so I put those dedicated sessions. So for me, if I start work at 10 o'clock and someone puts a meeting at 10 a.m., that's my whole morning, like, shot. Someone's just burnt my whole morning, because I don't really get into the deep thinking and the deep work that I need to do. Whereas if it's like, oh, can I do a meeting at 10:30? It's like, cool, that gives me some time to work till like the 30 minutes. But those dedicated sessions, like those free slots, I always say those free slots in my calendar are for, hey, if you want to talk to me about something or want a meeting, put them around there, because I'm free and I'm not really doing any deep thinking or deep working. I can help. If it's a meeting where they go, we really need you because you're the one that knows more about this and knows how to implement X, Y, and Z, then yes, I kind of make exceptions and go, yeah, I'll let them do what they want. So setting boundaries. So also, it goes back to what I said, the season of no. So if you don't think it benefits you, adds value, or is something that you think is important to you growing or success, or like you growing as a person, I always say no. It's like, oh, can you be in this meeting? No, I don't really need to be in that meeting, because that's not what no, it doesn't benefit me in any way. It's you're building out a new service, but there's better things you could be tasking me to do that doesn't need me on this meeting. So saying no is a very big thing. It's very hard at first it's very hard to do, to tell people no, but as soon as you like do it a lot more and more, you'll just say no, don't want to do that, and you might get some pushback, or you might get people that go, I don't like you saying no to me because I'm higher rank or I'm more important than you. But sometimes you just go, look, I've got this thing. This is more important than the meeting you're trying to get me into. I'm saying no because I want to prioritize that project, which could then, bring us more money into the business, essentially. And avoiding overwhelm. The one line I would like to say is, who's? Oh, it's just notifications. It's like everyone wants to talk to me. But basically, it's about not having too many eggs in one basket, essentially. So if you're someone that goes, well, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do this and doing this, and it's like, just stop, just focus. I like to say focus on one thing at a time. So prioritizing which is important for me normally is doing a lot of my real life job is the top priority and then working down. I think another way I say as a strategy is I plan my day backwards. And some people might go, Jack, why do you plan your day backwards? So if I'm finishing at 4:30, I will probably have a meeting at like, 4, 3 till 4, and then work back that way. So you've got to pick the battles that you want to actually fight yourself. So those things that are more priority to you, are more important to you and more priority to you, you really want to focus on those. And yes, like I said, not too many eggs in one basket, because if you have too many eggs in one basket, you get overwhelmed and then you have burnout, and then you'd be sad. And I don't want anyone feeling sad, and burnout sucks. I know that from personal opinion and personal experience. I know burnout sucks. It actually is the worst feeling ever. But that is a good. That's the whole shtick about prioritizing stuff and time management. Um, Financial management and resourcefulness. Now, I am not the best person for this, but I will do my best to explain it. But in businesses, you want to make sure that you are resourcing things properly and making sure you have financials behind it, because you don't want it to blow up in your face like a gunpowder. So, I think what we said before is like, if you're a startup and you are starting from ground zero, you've got nothing. Well, the biggest resource you can sell people is your time. And time is a very good thing because you can give them your time. You could do them demos. You could do, hey, you could try the service for free. And if you don't like if you love the service, give me a review. Or if you don't like the service, tell me what doesn't work, and I can make it better. And that's a cool thing. So budgeting is, if you're going to put $100 into business, well, you've got. I always say that don't spend more than you earn. So, like, if you get so much money into the business, don't go out and blow the whole budget on marketing, because it's like, well, you can't invest it in other places of business. Funding options, I think you can go to, angel funds, I think, and you can try that cool stuff and find people that will back the company. I think one that I remember was Beaumont Capital. They do a lot of companies, investment funds, all that crazy stuff. Yeah, and being resourceful with limited capital, like I said, is like you could have $50 in the business, or you could be starting from ground zero. Is like finding ways of managing that limited capital or building that capital from the ground up, because you don't actually have to go and get some funding from like some investors. You could just actually do it all from the ground up, really, and build it all up yourself, which is super cool. Building a support system. These are some great points. Support systems are very, 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 very important. And I stress that enough. And if I didn't stress it enough, I'm about to. Having mentors, advisors, and fellow entrepreneurs that have been in your shoes or currently are still in your shoes, that can help, or have been in your shoes, or like, it's a great way to go, hey, should I make this decision? I really, really I'm not sure where I would make this move. And it's like, well, you're going to scale the business. What are you going to do with it? Oh, I'm going to scale this up because I want to start doing software as a service or infrastructure as a service. Okay, cool. yeah, cool. I think that's a great idea. The market's great. But it's about having those mentors that give you the right information and isn't just hot air, that kind of stuff. And it's about picking the right information and listening to the right people and go, hey, I want to make this decision. And they give you the right information to make that decision, to do that, make that decision for your business, the journey. So resources. I will never ever in this podcast leave you going empty-handed. So finding mentors, I do mentoring personally. I'll throw that out there. So, mentoring is good. LinkedIn's a good one. That's the businessy social media. Online communities, Valkence Social. Valkence Social. That is full of like-minded people that may be doing the entrepreneurship stuff, like I am doing. School is a great one. One of the plans I hopefully plan to do for kind of Amplify Your Ambition is I hope to set up a school community, or set up a school community, a free one, and then just build it from there. Just be giving these podcasts the bonus content, all that stuff for free, and then if people are really wanting to get into the talking to me properly face to face on a Zoom call, going and doing a paid community. But that's all in the pipeline. And networking events. So going to conferences, networking events is a good way of getting out your comfort zone and expanding your contacts, because you don't know who you're going to meet that day. I could go out today, go to a bar in my town and meet a CEO of a company and and I could share him an idea and he'd be like, well, do you want to come work for us? It's the kind of stuff I do. People want to talk to me all the time. It's my phone's never stopped. Always trying to ring. People are always trying to ring me, message me, or talk to me through LinkedIn. It's everyone wants to talk to me. I'm almost Insta famous or something. But having those support system in place and having the resources and telling you the right information. I always like to say, if someone's giving you garbage information, you're going to get garbage out. So garbage in, garbage out, So in this podcast as well, it's just so fun to talk about this stuff. But we have got some bonus topics that I want to talk about, so that we cover this episode is just well-rounded and you're enjoying it. So work-life balance, a very, very thing. Work-life balance for entrepreneurs and content creators and stuff is, I always like to say knowing when to switch off, because things can get hectic and busy, and you're well, I'm always focusing on the business and all this stuff, and I don't get any time to myself. Is switch. Just when you're done, you've gone, okay, I've done this important work, switch off, go, well, I want to read a book, or I want to go watch Netflix, or I want to, I do, it's delayed gratification. Really worked really hard today on this project. I'm going to now treat myself to, KFC, because I think I really worked hard and I really deserve it. Taking self-care and kind of being okay, I don't want to work myself to the point where I'm breaking down. It's just switching off and doing something that you enjoy. Remember it, like what I said earlier, is remember your why. You are doing this because you want to have the goal of doing this, but remember that you can spend time with people that are important to you and want to do that cool stuff. And yeah, it's about understanding that and being well, I am a human. I can't work forever. Another topic is dealing with failure. And I think I touched upon it during this. Failures are learning experience and opportunities for growth during the journey. So maybe you don't get the client first time, or you maybe don't get the track signed, or maybe you don't get affiliate for the first time, or your content doesn't go viral. Well, failures aren't failures. They're just, as what we said, setbacks. So it's about how you overcome them and the more like for me, I've had 3 failure on my pet. Well, I'm sorry, I'm coughing. But for me, I had like 3 failures in my life, maybe 4. Like, I think first one. Well, no, actually, I've got more than 3. But it's like one of them is like girlfriend broke up with me. On this other, okay, I'll see if I can count my 4 now. Girlfriend broke up with me. Then I did a brand. Then I did chaotic. Didn't like it. Got fucked over and took advantage of. Then I did Navy X. That didn't get traction, or it wasn't what I wanted to do. Just failed. And then I started JackOKings. Well, JackOKings isn't a failure. That's me overcoming those failures. So it's about going, what did we do? I always like to say lessons learned. It's an IT term, but it's also a general term. It's like, well, what did we do wrong? Well, I didn't learn marketing or something. That's why it flopped. Oh, okay, cool. So what we're going to do next time? Well, we're going to invest in marketing. We're going to invest in a team that's going to back the brand, all those crazy stuff. And accepting failures. Basically, I like to say more crazy stories. You might, well, I failed, but I failed at doing this, and I then went on and built like a brand that are already, a household name, and I'm, living comfortably and doing what I actually want to do. And the final point, because I love talking. These podcasts are super cool, and I like making a short form for these. The importance of learning and adaptability. So I'm a very adaptable person, and a lot of people, if you have met me in person or you haven't, if this is the first time meeting me, hi, how are you? Basically, like, for me as a person, adapting to market conditions and continuous learning is a very big thing to do, because like with my IRL, with my real life job, cybersecurity is always changing. New threats, new tools come onto the market. You've got to keep up with it. As for music, new trends, new genres, that is also, you have to adapt. And being adaptable is really good. Like for me is like on a personal level, like if you're listening to this and there we go. If you're like listening to this on like being like, oh, I'm listening to this personally, and like applying it to my personal life, it's like me being adaptable around people's plans, going, hey, because I think I had a friend that was like panicking. They were like, well, I'm panicking because can we change the plan because I'm not going to make it in time. I'm going to be a bit late. And I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's fine. We'll just go. We'll come later. We'll come or come out later. We're not rushing. And they were like, you're so chill. I'm like, yeah, I'm so chill. I'm so chill about things. And it's like, don't worry about it. It's like, I'm adaptable to these things. So being adaptable and continuously learning, like maybe it's a book on, like for me as a person that's like kind of where I am in my real job is, senior level, I don't know about managing people. I've never managed people before being senior, but like for me, reading books on like how to, manage people, I think it's The Motive. That's one of the books I think I'm reading at the moment. It's super cool. It teaches you about like how to be a good leader, and I love being a good leader. But continuously learning about new topics, new trends, just self-improvement, like, because when you look back over like a period like 6 months or 12 months, you'd be like, well, he's a different person to what I am now. And that's why I super enjoy as well. So kind of to finish the episode 5. So the key takeaways from this is that entrepreneurship or setting up a brand or anything has its challenges. It is tough, but with the right mindset and strategies that we kind of shared here, you can overcome them and thrive as an entrepreneur, creator, all the fun stuff. So what I would encourage you to do as the listener is to share your own challenges and your tips for success in the comments. Maybe I'll pick some out, read them in the next episode. But as always, I really appreciate you listening to this episode and supporting the episode on wherever you get your podcasts. it's super great to see that you're really engaging with the podcast, and it warms my heart. So I'm a very happy person. So yeah, without further ado, thank you for listening to episode 5 of Amplify Your Ambition.